Hi guys, you're watching the Black Mirror After Show on AFTERBUZZ or listening, so stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
All right, everyone. I have not heard this theme song in such a long time.
Me too.
Hello.
I'm completely unsettled.
I'm like,
Great
so
way to
bad.
bring us in here.
No, yes. Welcome to the Black Mirror After Show on AFTERBUZZ TV, Season 4, Episode 3, Crocodile. I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, and these are my fellow co-hosts.
Hi, party people. My name is Erika Edwards, and you can follow me at all social media at Erika D. Edwards, and that's Erika spelled with a K.
And as always, I'm Steve Kaufmann. You can find me on Twitter almost exclusively at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann.
Okay.
Blending into the
Just
music.
let's be creepy. So I was out last week. Apologies. I got that horrible flu that's been going around, and you can probably hear it a little bit in my voice. Anyways, first thoughts on this episode.
I loved it. I liked it.
I enjoyed this episode a lot. I thought it was pretty, I know I said this a lot where I'm straightforward, and I'm but
Yeah.
it was actually a very clear through line. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into some of the narrative stuff, but ultimately I enjoyed the episode.
Good. I didn't like it, you guys. But that's a thing we will discuss because I have various reasons for why I didn't like it. But let's go into it. So we're first introduced to Rob and Mia, and this Dexter theme is really. There we go. Thank you.
Thank you. Although I was loving it. I was like, oh,
I was like, I can't
the
focus.
backdrop.
I'm uncomfortable. He's gonna come out and stab me.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get frozen and gutted. Wait, that was his brother. Never mind. We were introduced to Rob and Mia, and they're tripping on acid.
Yeah,
tripping
they're
on
being
some
young.
drug.
They're being young at
being
cool
drunk,
at places
having
where
fun.
young people go.
Yeah,
Doing their
were they at a rave? Dare we say
It
some
looks
sort
kind of like a
looked like a rave type
futuristic rave.
They shot this
type of
episode in
thing.
Iceland, so in
Yeah.
my mind they're in some weird
So they're just
Iceland club where
in
it's
Europe.
different. It might as well be Mars.
might
It might as well be Mars to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Hoth. It's a club
So-
on Hoth.
Yes, there we go. And they decide to drive home with all that stuff still in their system, which, not the best idea. And they end up killing a biker, or a cyclist, for those people who don't like the term biker to be used for people who use bicycles. So I don't know. When I saw that happen, I was kind of like, ooh. I thought it was a kid at first. I had to go back and rewatch it.
Me too. I also thought it was a child, which
Yeah.
I think would double down on the creep factor of this whole thing.
horribleness.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if that was changed in post. But that's too much.
It was definitely, when you go back and look, you definitely
Yeah.
realize it's a man.
Of
but,
course.
And what were your first thoughts or feelings when that's the first introduction to the episode, and now they're kind of negotiating to call the police or to take this body and throw it into the ocean?
I don't know. Maybe I'm morbid. I liked it because I felt like, I know what you did last summer, Iceland style. So that's exactly what I thought. I was like, oh, okay, I see where we're going. So that's kind of what I thought. Like,
So you thought that maybe this guy was going to come back, and that was kind of the thing?
not
or
necessarily
maybe
him
somebody
come back, or is there somebody watching them? Is there some kind of way?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously it's Black Mirror, so I really had no clue what they were going to do.
Yeah.
But I liked, I thought it was an interesting tone to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was okay with it, actually.
Yeah, I wasn't phased by that part either. It was more of, we'll get there. But Steve,
I
what did you
didn't.
think?
I didn't hate it. I
Yeah.
thought it was a fun narrative choice that, in typical Black Mirror style, could have still brought you a couple different places.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what if the car had some type of dash cam tech that they didn't know
Yeah.
about, and then some malicious person at the car company just blackmails them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that could be. Like, I like to try to guess where the episode's gonna go
Mm-hmm.
versus where it does, and that hitting and killing a cyclist and then deciding to dispose of the body.
Yeah.
It's a real good start for one of those.
Yeah, and
Right.
I think I also appreciated that it was set in the past, and you got the feeling that it wasn't the current world where obviously that's not something they could have gotten away with. That there's a 15-year gap between the world we jump to and the world we see. So because if it were actual Black Mirror universe, you'd be like, they're not going to get away with that. There's like a drone, or there's like there's like a dog, or there's something watching them at this very moment. So we jumped to that 15 years, and Mia has now gone on and had a new life and got like a nice little super blonde, dyed, short haircut, and a child and a husband and a home, and she's an architect going to a basically to like a convention type of
Conference
thing,
or something.
conference.
Like it looked like she was giving a
conference.
keynote at a conference.
Yeah,
which
she's
is like,
going to have a
which is like, especially she seemed fairly young and like
Fairly
that
young.
that all seemed behind her. That like to speak a keynote at a conference is a big deal if
Yeah.
you've never done that before and you're
Yeah.
trying to be a rising star in your industry.
yeah.
So she wants to put all this behind her.
Yeah, so she hasn't probably thought about this in 15 years. It's been something that, you know, maybe she regrets and she did it, and that's it. And I mean,
But
no judgment, but like maybe that's part of.
Well, I
her
think what was
mindset.
interesting about it too was in the initial scene, he was like, he had to really convince her to do
did,
it. And she was all
exactly.
like, oh, well, we being hysterical and stuff. So that was kind of, I think, added more to the transition of her character, because in the beginning it was like, oh, okay, we have to do this, and he's explaining it to her,
Yeah.
and now we flip to 15 years later, and she's like, oh, no, I'm good with it now. Like,
which
Yeah,
I
which we'll
understand.
get to.
And truth be told, I think it's easier to cope with. I think it would be easier for her to cope with it than for him to cope with it. Because
She wasn't behind the car.
she wasn't
Or
behind the wheel. Also, she didn't convince someone else to go along with it. He did both of those things.
Yeah.
Like his weight is tripled at that point.
Yeah.
Of, no, I killed someone, and then I convinced another person to help me dispose of the body,
Yeah.
and not tell a soul.
Yeah.
So like I think he had way more weight and guilt than she ever could possibly have.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I would argue, well, that was your choice in the moment.
Yeah.
I went with you. As of this moment right now, we can't move. I can't move forward with you telling people that I was involved.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. Like, I don't know about killing him, but that's
Well, let's jump into it
Yeah.
then. So she gets to her conference. She's off away, and Rob finds her. I guess they haven't seen each other in 3 years at that point. This was a lot of me digging around and figuring out the
course.
timeline, because they were not going to give it to us. But yes, 3 years since they last seen each other, 15 years since the incident. And I guess he'd been sober for a year.
that's what it sounded like.
yeah, it sounded
something
like
said?
a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he decided that he wanted to tell the woman who was still, I guess, holding out. Was she holding out hope? that her husband
Yeah,
was
because she
alive?
didn't move from where she had been living because she
Yeah.
thought he was going to come back,
Yeah.
and you know, so that was actually very, you know, that really pulled at your heartstrings.
Yeah, that her life, this widow's life had just kind of stopped, and that he felt guilt about it. But what were you going to say?
But his plan was to fess up to everything,
Yeah.
which is the problem.
Well,
Yeah, but he was going to send her an anonymous letter.
he was. It probably wouldn't have. Maybe could have not. Probably would have. Maybe should have. Maybe who knows? Affected Mia. But for Mia, I think it was something that now that she has his life, now that she has his family, now that she has his career, and this big keynote, which could be a big turning point for her, it was just too much to give up.
And I think there's a turn to Mia as well, that I think Mia felt put upon and forced upon to go with what he was saying.
Yeah.
And she dealt with that choice and probably lashed out and like, I'm going to be the alpha and I'm going to make all these decisions for myself and move forward. And then here he comes back telling her exactly what she needs to do. Again, and I think that kind of explains the rash action she took. Instead of, they could have sat and talked about it for hours, or one of them could have ran away and waited for the other to calm down and then discussed it. Like, what is our plan of action for helping this person without destroying our lives?
I think he could have sent a letter apologizing, but saying that the husband's gone, husband's not coming back.
Yeah.
No explanation other than that. And not tell me about it.
That's honestly.
I don't think he owed her anything in coming forward and telling her, because I think you're right. It did kind of make her feel like she was kind of restricted to whatever he wanted, just like as she was 15 years ago when he, excuse me, basically told her, this is how it's going to be. This is what we're going to do. Like, we're going to get rid of this body. And so I understand that she had so much more to lose at this point. But at the same time, like, he just shouldn't have gone to her in the first place.
Yeah,
Like, he shouldn't have talked to her about it. But this is also the point where I was like, so you want to cover up the fact that you were you didn't kill anyone, but you were basically a part of the cover-up of somebody being murdered.
An accomplice to a murder.
Accomplice. There we go.
Right.
By murdering someone else, and then you just go on like a murder spree to cover up the fact that you didn't murder someone 15 years ago.
Well, I think at first, like, it wasn't until I felt like he was actually on the ground when she was like, "Ooh, I can't murder him." Because at first I was like, okay, she's just freaking out and grabbing him, and she's really skinny, and this is weird.
Nah,
and then, and then once she really, like, put her elbow down to strangle him, I was like, ooh, okay.
I think this is where I came up with the explanation of why she could have lashed out so violently so quickly, which is that this must be something, aside from just the guilt from being involved in a murder and then having to cover it up. Yeah, let's go. I think there's also that extra guilt.
Yeah.
Or that extra bottled up emotion of that guy told me exactly what to do and I just did it. And like there's probably a lot of resentment to that I think in that moment of he's coming back here and just telling me what to do again.
Yeah.
And he's going to ruin my life again or potentially ruin my life again. Like it's him. That was the logic I came up with, because if you apply logic to this situation, they would rustle a little, one of them would leave, and then they would cool down and come back and discuss it like people who have a problem to solve of, okay, you want this, I want this, we need to come up with a solution. We need to come up with a solution where this wife knows that the dad's not coming back, the father's not coming back, without either of our spot getting blown up.
I hear you, Steve. I'm hopping in real quick, guys. This is Jeff from the booth. I did see the episode as well, and I have some opinions. I do think she was reclaiming something there. It's kind of what you're getting at, right? Like she was trying to kind of take back power that was taken from her by him 15 years ago, which made it a really kind of complicated decision. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that, but I think the moment he started to leave, and the moment she wrapped her arms around him, I was like, oh, she's going to kill him. It wasn't, it was very much like there was no doubt that was where I thought she was going to go. I just didn't think it was the smartest idea. Like, I was like, nah, now when we're talking about, like, yeah, you can get away with murder 15 years earlier, but now, like, people can go into your brain and like, look at your memories. Maybe don't do this. Maybe be smart about it. Maybe, like, have somebody else do it and, like, do like a whole nice little tracking of like people, that can kill him for you.
True.
Or be savvy about it. That's what I'm going to say.
How can he have a heart attack? Not in your room.
Exactly. Right. How can it not be where his blood is in the hotel room you were in? And you can clean it up all you want, but I mean, the technology we have now can find blood cleaned up in a room.
That's why I think it wasn't that's why I think at worst it would have not been, as we would call it in the States, homicide one or like murder one, because there would be no premeditation. He showed up at your house, upset you, and then you killed. He showed up at your hotel room, he upset you, and then you killed him. Yeah. You could argue that's second degree.
Yeah, I mean it was basically like a crime of passion. She was upset. She did it. I get it, but at the same time, I thought, oh, okay, well, I wonder how they're gonna deal with this, and then it just kind of spiraled out of control for me. The episode just kind of spiraled out of control for me at that point.
I liked the double down though. Yeah. Because at first, like, what she did wasn't necessarily terrible. I'll take that back. At first.
I'm like, yeah, maybe if she just pushed him, that wouldn't have been so bad.
On a gradient scale.
I think if it had been something where when he first fell and you hear that
he hit his head, right. I was like, if he just hit his head.
She could have stopped right there and been like, oh my God, let me call the police.
Right.
Or, let me call the because that basically would have put him out of commission. Right. And that would have given her time to think. Like, okay, well.
Yeah, like I was kind of like, okay, she freaked out, he hit his head. It's not totally, maybe the spell is broken, and it was broken, and she was like, okay, now I really have to make sure you're dead, because you're not really dead, so now I'm going to actually, really kill you. And I know you were my boy, I know you used to be my boyfriend, all of that stuff, but no, you were a, alcoholic loser, and I have this great life, so yeah, I'm going to kill you now.
It was a big turn, but so she decides to kill him and turn on some porn to cover up basically her cleaning up his body and disposing of it. And I gotta say, like,
and then
once she was on track for it, she knew what to do. She knew how to, like, dispose of a body. She knew how to, like, get it
Right,
everything
and I was
done,
amazed because again, I was still like, she's pretty skinny to be picking up these dead bodies and carting people. I was like, wow, she's strong for how she looks. I mean, she's.
You know, people say that. I deliver groceries, and people say that to me all the time, and I'm like, yeah.
It's weights.
It's just weights. But anyways, so throughout all this cleaning up, for some reason she does with the curtains open. And like, I'm just saying, you kill someone, you like maybe close the curtains before you initiate that. Anyways, and she ends up being seen casually through someone's eye. But we'll get to that. That's
Well, she looks out the window and she sees somebody get hit.
Sees someone who get hit
an
by
automatic pizza truck.
for fences.
Which I have to point out, because CES starts technically tomorrow, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, and it's where they introduce all
Are
toys.
they doing a self-driving pizza truck?
Yep. Toyota announced a self-driving delivery vehicle with e-pallet, with one of their first partners being Pizza Hut, to create a self-driving pizza truck. And this was the first thing commenters hinted at.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
Are they working off Black Mirror now? Are they throwing together a pizza
Basically.
truck in a week?
Exactly.
They're like, let's just do that.
I know all of my Uber drivers are always like, they're testing the self-driving Uber car. And I'm like, well, y'all can barely pick us up when you in the car. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But
Yeah. It's
Uber treats their drivers like they don't exist. They're not there anyway. You might as well be an autonomous fleet.
very true, very true.
Well, I need that money though. I mean, I work for Lyft,
Well,
not
yeah.
Uber, obviously. Come on.
Anyway, the porn was also a good excuse to why she was in the room for 2-3 hours, however long that video was, because she can point to literally and it would also leave a reason for her to be like. That was actually a really genius thought. That I
thought it was a good choice.
I don't know if she actually had all those. That's a really good part of a plan.
Yeah.
That leads me to believe there might have been a level of premeditation, which if she ever gets tried for this, might come up.
That just led me to believe that she probably does like porn.
Yeah.
So she was stressed out, guys. She just killed someone. Think about it.
She just gotta rub one out real quick.
I think she's like, I don't want to see all of this nonsense. Let me get to something good.
It's loud, and it can, and it's also, I think, something that's most people wouldn't want to ask about. So when she checks out at the room, she has that little thing, and nobody's gonna ask about it. Oh, okay. Well, she was looking at some porn, so
Yeah.
There you go.
And also, I thought it was something that, as indicated, it would stand out if police or somebody comes, because they're gonna be like, yeah.
It was a noticeable thing for. Actually, I think it might have worked against her because it was a noticeable thing for the. What's his face? The concierge.
The concierge.
But I think that was
to remember.
But that was a good alibi, though.
Yeah, I think that's what I think that was her initial intention. I thought was that people, whoever's down there will notice. Ooh, she's watching porn, and remember that if they're questioned.
Yeah, and not only that,
but at the same time, it kind of also ended up working against her, because if it was something less memorable, then it'd be like, no, I remember what she was watching. She probably was watching a movie.
Right.
I think it was mainly for the use of the loudness. Anyways, let's keep going. So we end up, she ends up getting rid of the body and, going home and living her life and blah, blah, blah. Who cares? So we cut to Shazia, who is investigating the pizza truck that hit, is it Gordy? I just want to be sure.
Does he have a name?
I thought he had a name. I had to look him up.
I will find out the name.
Let's just say the gentleman who was hit by the pizza truck. Because they want to understand, what happened.
Yes, Gordy.
Gordy. So we get to see, basically, from his point of view, what happened. And this is where, when they introduced this tech, I was like, oh, okay, I like this. This is really cool. This is kind of a merge of, every other tech I've seen in Black Mirror. And I'm a little confused at the same time because I've seen a lot of tech at this point. But it's
a lot
cool.
more effective tech at this time.
Yeah.
Because the grain would be super helpful at this point of just we recorded it straight from your eye. We saw how it actually happened.
Yeah.
Not through a level of perception.
But what I liked was the fact that she worked for this little, the insurance company, wherever she worked for. So you kind of got, almost like the government type sense, it's better stuff out there, but this is what we got. And I kind of like that. I was like, okay, well, that, maybe another agency or the FBI or whoever is going to have better technology than these people that are just hit and run like investigators. So I kind of liked that sort of twist on it.
And it kind of also, I think, implied that it was maybe earlier, and I know we don't talk about, there's a Black Mirror timeline, you guys, let's just be real. It kind of implied that this is earlier in the timeline, because even with like the chip that she has is kind of like a little square.
Yeah.
Even though at one point I think maybe someone had like the circle, but it gave me the sense that they're still figuring out everything, and maybe even that the grain technology is further down the line than we originally thought. Because when you think about it, everyone's been doing the kind of just the temple tech.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call it that, the temple tech. Whereas the grain is implanted into your head. So maybe
that it needs.
it seems further along.
Or
Am I
at the
wrong,
very
or?
least, the grain is super. We could live in a world where the grain is super expensive, but the recall thing that can just tap into your brain immediately uses similar tech, but doesn't require surgery or a complicated thing implanted in everybody. Like we're in some in between place where the grain probably kind of exists,
But it isn't at the point, because everything. Oh gosh.
the entire history of us.
The entire history of
Everyone had a grain. You can't get it out.
Yeah, everyone had it. So I feel like that's like far down the line.
And then the not playtest, but the other one in the season before this, where they were all soldiers. Like you would assume that was also before the entire history of us, because that would be military tech. And the military military's got the money. They would spend money on the tech first before it went to the consumer.
Yeah, and then Archangel was kind of like
Somewhere in between.
In
And
the
like,
middle.
this is also like, I would assume either before or
maybe
early
they all just
stages.
got banned.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Or Charlie Brooker will just tell you, no, there's no timeline. Stop thinking about it.
They were like, shut
Yeah.
up, Charlie. We all saw Black Museum. You liar. So, in any case, we get to Shazia going through these course of people. She goes through Gordy. She goes through the woman whose name I do not remember. I apologize.
But she had the cute lipstick, which was
Yes.
totally cute.
She goes through the dentist, who's a perv. Well, I don't know. Did we not? I
No.
thought he was a perv.
Well, it's easy.
It's
I
just
think
a
taking-
photo. He wasn't all the way naked. Was he?
I
don't
mean,
think it was that bad. Yeah, they see something you like. I don't know. You pick up your phone. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm a perv. I don't know. My bad.
I don't know if we have time to get into the deeper philosophical debate of privacy versus implied privacy.
Exactly. If you're seeing in your open window naked, then that's on you.
I think that like the
Chances
implied
are you could be seen. I'm just saying.
privacy, respect for privacy, and the expectation of respect of privacy. That's a college level paper.
Oh no! Wait, listen, you guys.
That's a college level paper that
We'll
I
get
can
there.
write,
This-
but I mean, I'm not a grad student anywhere.
It's just an after show. We aren't going to get into a philosophical debate. And then we finally get to Mia. And so this is the point. This is the point where we get
Yes.
to Mia. So Shazia, who we get a nice little quick cut of her family and her handsome husband and her baby.
Ooh, he was cute too.
And the hamster. And all the stuff is going to make sense later. And she finally gets to Mia, and she's just like, this is just insurance for a guy who was hit by a pizza truck. You know, I just need to kind of go and review your memories to see like what it was. I guess at this point I was like, why do they have to go so deep with this? There were, at this point, 2 witnesses to this guy getting hit by the truck.
Well,
They
no,
didn't
no,
get to-
no,
they didn't
she
see, like,
needed
an
to
actual
establish-
hit.
she needs to establish-
She never saw contact. I think Mia was actually the only one that saw the truck
contact.
driving and actually hit him.
And she needs a good enough recall of, and apparently what it does is it puts all of the pieces together, because it's all just fragmented pieces of recollection.
Yeah.
So them by themselves aren't admissible enough, where what they would need is, but what they would need is one person to have A, seen the contact, or enough people to have B, seen enough of the contact that they can determine that, because the whole point is that the vehicle shouldn't have been going that fast.
Yeah.
So they need proof that the vehicle was going faster than it claims to. That's
Because-
the whole point.
Yeah, because the girl with the cute lipstick, she wasn't really sure on the speed of the vehicle. Because I feel like
She
if she
didn't
was
see-
like,
nobody else saw it.
yeah, if she's like, oh, it was speeding, then it wouldn't have been that big of an issue.
Yeah, they all
but-
saw it basically after
Yeah.
the fact.
Do any
I
of you
get
guys
it.
read Harry Potter at all?
Yes.
I very
yes.
much got like pensive
don't, sorry.
vibes here.
Yeah.
Especially because I got the impression that all those memories were subjective.
Yes.
So, like, in that way, I feel like what they do is they compile all of the records knowing their subjectivity. But if you have 5 accounts from the recall device, you can more or less guess what the truth is based on everyone else's subjective recollection of what they saw.
Or if 5 subjective recollections come up with the same facts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I actually, in theory, agree with. Also, that's something they never dove into in the Harry Potter universe.
yeah, because
like
I
the
don't think-
unreliability of pencils.
Because I don't think
Except for
five
Slughorn, right?
subjective.
Yes.
I don't think they would. I think they all would be a little bit different, to be honest.
Yeah.
So because like the jacket wasn't yellow, it was green, or it was green, whatever. I mean, I think to some extent there you do come up with what you believe to be true, but if everyone sees it, they're going to view it differently.
Yeah, that's how memory works. Like, I mean, that's a big thing of when people ask you to recall something, you're like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, that's the big thing about eyewitness testimony that
Exactly.
is an issue in many cases today. So that is true.
If this tech existed, I would love to have the debate of whether it's
Reason-
just as unreliable as eyewitness testimony.
Yeah.
Although we use eyewitness testimony too much to begin with. So that, I don't know, like, I think if we had this technology, I would at least like to think we're smart enough to know that memory is subjective.
Yeah.
Instead of just, no, we got one. See it?
Yeah.
It's right there.
Well, yeah,
I made a
because-
person think this and then recorded it from their brainstem.
Even when they were using the technology, a lot of it were Shaza's suggestions to the people. So smell this drink,
Yeah.
listen to this music, and then
It'll help
she
you
told
recall
the
it.
guy the color of the coat, and then he remembered it. And, you know, then he changed the color in his mind.
Yeah.
So some of it is sort of her like urging you on, which is what, you know, honestly, the police do to people. So I mean, it's, you know, similar tactics. So I think you would still have some of those same issues.
Also, Jazz 41173, it's a guinea pig, not a hamster.
Thank you.
People like to...
Oh, I thought it was
Hamster,
right. I thought it was
guinea pig.
Guinea pig people really like to
Yeah.
make clear that it's a
Well,
guinea
I
pig.
would argue we'll get there, but the distinction is very important because in science, the idea of a guinea pig is very. I'll talk about what I think the guinea
Okay.
pig symbolizes in the
We'll
world.
get there.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was like, gerbil? Hamster?
I thought it was
Guinea
a gerbil.
pig?
I knew- I
It's
thought it
been
was
a
a
They
minute.
I
called
was
it,
like,
I
is it
think they
gerbil or
called it,
guinea pig?
they called it a guinea
They
pig.
did call
I
it.
think.
But then on the Netflix closed captioning, it said hamster squeak. So
Did they?
you know.
Oh, wow.
What,
So they used the
earlier,
hamster squeak
I
for
said
a guinea
hamster
pig.
squeak. Yeah. Or maybe they just messed up.
Or a
no,
captioner
this is
messed it up.
So we're getting there. Okay.
Okay.
So now Shazia is faced off with Mia, and Mia just snaps because Shazia does obviously see
Yeah.
that she's killed a man and that she sees
She sees the cyclist and Rob.
and the Rob.
She
and,
sees both
and
murders.
Porn. And so she's going through it and she closes it. And I
wasn't clear as to why Mia ever agreed to it. I'm like, if you got
Because
the
it was
police, you have to come back with a warrant or something. I'm not going to let you, you know. Like,
because
I
it
don't
would
know.
be, I think it would be more suspect for her not to. And it would have been maybe something where if that woman came back with more people, that would have been a problem.
And they would have dug deeper. I think in her mind it was like, well, if it's just this woman, all she needs to see is something I saw. So
Yeah.
I just need to recall the one thing I saw
Yeah.
and show it to her and then be like, cool, we're good. Take this thing out of my temple before
Yeah.
you see all the murder.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was arrogance, but I was like, how does she really think she's going to... That's like trying to beat the lie detector. Like, really? Is this what you're doing?
You can beat the lie detector.
I'm not
you
saying
can
you
beat the lie
can't,
detector,
but...
The lie detector is inadmissible, I think. In most states, it's inadmissible because it's
Yeah,
not.
it's actually pretty easy to beat. If
super
you,
fallible.
like, know what to do. It usually causes, like, you being in a lot of pain to beat.
It does, but you can do it.
But I guess I figured she would have better control over her memories because
Or
it
she
seemed that
figured
everyone
it.
else was so focused on just that thing. It wasn't like they were like, oh, you know, your brain floats off and you think about something else and you have to come back. No, they didn't show that happening with anyone else's recall. Whereas with her, maybe it's because she was so panicked about those things being found out, they ended up breaking through. And so at that point,
I feel like the
just
dentist
didn't
scene.
think.
The dentist scene should have established to us that there's not a way you can't really fool this.
yeah.
Right, that's what I thought. I was like, realistically, she might need to...
Oh,
I
because
think,
he
you
would have
know,
wanted to not have.
Yeah, if
That was the... I think,
Yeah.
yeah, that was the point
That
of the
makes
perv part,
sense.
is to know that you are going to have these things that you can't keep out, even if you would like to.
Yeah. So she kills Shazia, you guys.
Well,
Well, kind of like ties her up, and Shazia begs for her life, and then but then also discovers that Shazia has like a family.
devil's advocate, what else could she have done at that moment? Other than go away for murder, probably a double murder at this point because she killed the other person.
Yeah.
She killed the other person, so now it looks like she could just be on the hook for 2 murders.
I think she could have just. I don't know, because it's something where it's like, it's killing another person. Really, do you really think that's going to help you? And then deciding that, oh, this woman's going to be loved and missed, so I have to go to her house, find her husband.
Well, no, it wasn't that she was going to be loved and missed. It was that she told the husband where she was going. She's going to go see this woman. So now you know where she's now you know the husband knew where she was.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that would lead the police right to her if his wife doesn't come home.
That's true.
That's why she had to go and get the husband.
I mean, but this is the same thing, regardless of if she told her or told him or not. The thing is that she had a family, so people were going to look for her. It wasn't like with the cyclist where it was just kind of like this person kind of disappear, and there's no technology any way to track us down. Like, this is somebody who will be, and I did misspeak, but yes. So she knows that the husband knows where she is. So she goes, but this is where it just kind of spirals out for me.
Devil's advocate.
Like, I mean, it's all spiraled out.
In this moment before she killed Shaza,
her
choices are kill her and everyone who knows where she is. Mm-hmm. Do it cleanly enough that no one will catch you doing that, which I don't know. That seems more dirty to me. Because the more murder you commit, the more likely you are to get caught at murder.
Exactly.
So that's the thing. Or the second thing is imprison her, wait for her to develop Stockholm syndrome, at which point she might actually make a deal with you in which she won't rat you out.
Well, no, I don't. Yeah,
that's
I don't,
the other. The other choice is
yeah.
to somehow make a deal with her and trust.
And that's not going to happen. There's no way you can trust once she's revealed and it's clear that Shaza's seen that Mia murdered people. There's nothing. She has to kill her. There's no because you're not going to agree to. Oh yeah, I'm not going to tell anybody. Yeah, right.
Option 3: kidnap the guinea pig, bring it back to your house, and say, if you like this guinea pig.
I think it's more of a is there a way to wipe this memory type of technology? I think that would have been more so where I would have gone to instead of going on a killing spree. Because a killing spree just went out of control. It's one thing to hide a murder from 15 years ago. It's another thing to hide, oh, you killed your ex-boyfriend last week. It's a whole nother thing to hide, oh, I killed this insurance agent and her husband and her baby. That's like, okay. But I did appreciate the fact that the role was originally actually written for a man. And when the actress who plays Mia came in and auditioned, she auditioned probably for the role of Shazia or maybe a different character altogether. And she asked, would you give the role of the antagonist, protagonist, to a woman? And they considered it and they decided to rewrite it as a woman. Because it is true, you don't often see women as serial killers, especially, the non-arsenic and lace kind. But I always get annoyed when people are like, women are only serial killers with poison. I'm like, no, maybe they just don't get caught when they do it other ways. Just saying. So I thought that was really nice, but it just spiraled out of control. I don't know. Like, by the time she got to killing the husband in the bathtub, I was like, okay. And then
I don't agree. No, because I think once you kill someone that you care for, like when she killed her ex and her boy, she's known this person for these years. That was her. I think she probably gave it to him back in the day. I think once you kill someone that you know and that you're close to, like once you kind of jump that,
it's just like a gateway drug.
Speaking as someone who's never murdered,
I mean, I've never murdered either,
like,
but
I can assume it's a slippery slope.
Yeah,
it's kind of like. Kind of like a cheat day with chocolate cake. You have one, and like, let's have the whole chocolate cake.
I killed a mouse once.
And it's easier to kill mice. I'm not even going to lie.
I'm just saying, I killed a mouse.
Yeah.
I probably talked about it on some other podcast about how it's not fun and sad. It's not fun.
Oh.
But it kind of was in the moment because I was so over mice at that point. I had like an infestation in my apartment in Chicago. And after doing it once, it did become easier.
And I'm not,
that's what we're saying.
Exactly. I'm not going to throw any shade, but I too killed a mouse in my apartment in Chicago. And yeah, after that, I was slaying rats in Chicago on the south side. I slayed them, and I felt good about it. But at
the same time, it's a mouse. Like, I still felt guilty about killing like a little baby one. Like, I couldn't do it. But at the same, there are boundaries.
There are boundaries, but I feel like once what I liked about the episode, which is what I like about shows like Dexter or Breaking Bad or whatever, is that like once you go past the line, it's hard to come back. Like once you really like, okay, I've done this for my family. Now I'm gonna stop and turn myself in. Why? You know, you're gonna go until they catch you.
But the kid, he was blind. She killed the baby.
Also,
Yeah, for a minute I thought she was gonna. I was like, I don't even think Dexter would kill a baby. I thought she was gonna stop, but you know.
Also, Jazz in the chat is pointing out that it feels weird to say, but she didn't wear a mask when she went to that house either.
Yeah.
So that maybe, I don't know, I feel like this spiraling out of control was also a crime of passion, that it's like, I'm gonna just kill some people now.
Yeah, it's like she didn't really put any thought into anything. Like she's just like, I just have to kill him and everything will be better. And there was some article, I can't remember who wrote it, about how like it was like a mother's drive. And I was like, no, man. I mean, no, she's just crazy.
Yeah, like
she was crazy, but I think at the end of the day, she was like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do to protect my life and protect my family and what I've built here after what I had to face when I was younger. And I think after she went through a certain point, she was like, it's no turning back. And it was no turning back.
No.
Like
there's no turning back.
Yeah, once she saw the memories, yeah, you were going to have to kill her.
him or me becomes them or me. And
Exactly.
but the second it becomes a binary choice of him or me, what's the real difference between him and them?
Yeah.
If it's like him or me, oh crap, now I need to kill someone who might find out that I killed him, and all the people they know.
Right, and you're like, I've already killed two people. I mean, come on now. I already smashed this girl's head in with a log, so I'm in for the long haul.
It wasn't.
I guess I would have preferred something narratively, somehow for us to figure it out. Like it would be out of place for this show to do kind of a John McClane talk to yourself, but like something that could have actually helped us understand where she was.
Yeah,
She was really sad at the recital, though. She was like, yay.
Yeah.
You can be anything you want to be. I'm a murderer, but you can be anything you want to be.
I think I do like maybe Black Mirror has become slightly hopeful now that it's slightly Americanized. I do appreciate the fact that she got caught
Yeah.
by a guinea pig.
Guinea pig.
And Jeff, what were you going to say about the guinea pig?
Well, just in general, I thought all this was so brilliant just because, like, the best Black Mirror episodes are when the people are actually victims of the tech. You know what I mean? It's like when the tech that's supposed to be their salvation is actually their doom.
Right.
Yeah.
And I felt like that's what was happening here, was like that baby was the victim just because of the risk of being non-complicitly blind.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah, I
you're
feel
fine.
like that
I mean,
was like a little extra with the blindness. I was like, okay, you don't have to lay it on.
Even if the
lay
baby
it on.
wasn't blind, how do you talk a memory out of a baby? Baby
That's-
doesn't understand speech.
well, that's what I assumed. I assumed there'd be more ways. Like, she had to cover all of her bases because it's the tech. There's no escaping the tech. Like,
Right, exactly.
But that was
exactly.
was
Because you can't talk to the guinea pig either, but you just put the little things on there and boom, you can see the
Right.
And that's also, I think, an issue of the writing is that we've been introduced to this tech, and we're told how it works, and we're told how it needs someone there to help people guide through it. So the fact that they can do it to a guinea pig who cannot understand, who cannot speak, kind of implies that, okay, well, the tech doesn't work in quite the way we thought it was.
Or I
it's
felt
a
like the
slightly
police
different
had
tech.
better tech.
That's what I
I thought.
okay.
I
But
think
that was
maybe
something that was never said.
Yeah.
Well, but the sense memory thing, I was thinking maybe it's as simple as just taking
Like the babies.
The babies. I don't know, something like that. I love the idea that, like, at the end of the day, all of this happened not in favor of the tech, but because of the tech. The tech that was supposed to save them was their ultimate doom. And, like, with the whole guinea pig thing, the thing I was going to say is, like, the symbol of humanity being the guinea pig and, like, the guinea pig being the victim of science, like, that rang so powerfully to me. That it was the guinea pig who would have implicated everyone. I don't know. I just feel like the layers of metaphor there were so smart. I love this episode.
Yeah.
I know it's the thing I love
enjoyed
about
this
Black
episode.
Mirror is
I enjoyed
everyone
it.
has different episodes they love too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
never meet the same
Yeah.
person who likes different ones. So for some reason this was my standout in season 3, but that's just me.
I think the pacing kind of was a bit slow for me. Because I even talked about, I was like, I kind of struggled to keep watching it because I kind of would just be like, like, what else is happening? I would be a horrible person for this tech. I'd be like, I don't know. I started playing some Candy Crush or something. But I have an appreciation for all Black Mirror episodes because they touch upon things in a way that a lot of shows just simply don't, or they push buttons in a way that other shows aren't willing to. Like, you don't see female serial killers on television, and them being brutally physical serial killers, not delicate about it.
Right. What I really loved also about this episode is that it was shot so beautifully in Iceland. I felt like where it was shot was almost like a character in another dimension to the story. I mean, maybe that's how it is in Alaska. I don't know. But I don't know any place in the U.S. or I think that coldness gave it that sort of Nordic Scandinavian flair that made it really, I don't know.
And also
kind of added a deeper dimension to
almost made it seem possible for her to get away with it because because everything is kind of so vast and spread out.
Yeah.
That you're like, well, maybe she could have gotten away with it if she just ended at Shazia. But
but I don't know. I read so many of those Harry Hole. Somebody would have got her. One of those Scandinavian detectives.
Somebody was going to get her.
Exactly. She was coming down.
This is Black Mirror. I mean, I feel like in the past, Black Mirror let people get away with stuff.
Well, yeah,
but now
true.
they're like, no,
True.
everyone's going down this year. So, yeah, everyone goes down this year. Well, yeah.
Well, then, man.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get there. All right, so I think that wraps up this episode. Do we have any other comments about it? Or?
No, I think we nailed it.
Okay. I would say predictions, but why? It's Black Mirror. What's there to predict? She's dead. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Where can they all follow you?
You can follow me at Erika D. Edwards, Erika D as in door Edwards, on all social media.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter almost exclusively. That is at Steve Kaufmann. That is Kaufmann.
And I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow. You can also catch me to Wednesday, the days are confusing, on The Magicians, and Friday on the Unproduced Table Read. I think that's all I'm doing right now. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and we're basically
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.